Hello. Happy Thursday.
It is Thursday. We are live on Facebook
and YouTube and all
YouTube.
the places. And you may be listening to this on our podcast, Dressage with Amelia.
I need to make a podcast with my pony.
Oh, yes. There have been many requests for that. So tonight we're going to be talking about rider position because we have our rider position webinar coming up on Saturday. We have one on Saturday. We have one on Wednesday. We have one on Thursday. So lots of opportunities to come live. Please come live because we're not going to be doing a webinar until after the last one. And what should we talk about? Rider position.
Well, Nicole was helping me with my rider position today. And
what did she say?
Man, am I out of whack.
Is that what she said?
No, she didn't say that.
Oh my God, you look terrible.
No, but it's not right.
What was she telling you was not right about it?
That I wasn't straight, that I wasn't looking.
Yeah. Rider position is everything. I had a clinic too. I rode with Albrecht, with Kensington and Getty, and it was all about rider position. Like, push your heels down, shorten your reins. Albrecht told me probably 100 times on Getty to shorten my reins. And
maybe
so
many times.
On the second day, guess what? I put different reins on and I put tape on the reins so that I had like a visual indicator for when they were actually the correct length.
Yeah, and he said he liked those rainbow reins, even though, what are they, hideous or ghastly or something? I don't know how he described them, but
yes, like rainbow reins for kids. There's
reins.
Like red and yellow and blue, and then you say like hold the yellow section. So I definitely felt like I needed that. And also he kept yelling at me about push your heels down, inside leg forward at the girth, because God, on Kensington, I have a bad habit of always like bringing my inside leg back.
Is it your inside leg or just your left leg when it's on the inside? Because
no, it's both. No, it's especially the right leg.
Oh, well, at least
and you've told me that too.
About your right leg as well? Because I don't know. I
yeah,
remember the
mostly
left
the
leg.
right leg.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is that it's not a left-handed or right-handed thing. It's image.
Even.
Right. There's an image in your brain that you have to recalibrate. If you're doing it to the same side, I think that's an easier fix.
Yeah.
Because there's an image that you have that needs correcting. But if you only do it on one side, I think that's harder to fix.
But I do think everything goes back to rider position. And as much as we want to like blame our horses or, say, my horse is this, my horse is that, like, what are you doing? What is your contribution to that? And how are you, contributing to the issues that you're having with your horse? And like with Kensington, we're working a lot on getting more activity, like working towards the Grand Prix, being able to collect him and keep that activity in. And if my legs are not in the correct position, or if I'm like too much nagging with my legs, then of course he can't stay in front of the leg and I can't really have that activity. So let us know in the chat if you are here. Give us a big hello from wherever.
Hi, Barbara.
You are.
Yes, she did and I did shave. We went scuba diving, so I can't scuba dive with all that hair, so it had to go.
Yes.
I didn't go shave. I didn't go diving for a few weeks, so I didn't shave.
Also, let us know in the chat what you're currently working on with your horse or in your rider position.
Steering my circles. Oh, were you not asking me? Was that for the chat?
How's that going? Steering your circles.
Well, it's a little bit better. I was having trouble making the diamond. It was more successful to turn her. So I got better bend. I was trying to make the diamond.
Oh, hello from Australia. What else are you working on in your rider position?
Steady your hands.
That's true.
Steady your hands.
Why are your hands too wild?
I don't know. I wish I knew.
Because you try to fix everything from your hands instead of trying to fix it from your leg and your seat. That's what I think.
She's not. For those of you who can't see her, she's nodding at me going, yes, that is the problem. So
they can all see us.
Oh, okay.
What else?
There'll be lessons, right? You're going to be teaching me on my horse and putting on the video.
And you're going to be doing a ride along podcast.
Yeah, you're going to have to talk me through that because I haven't done one of those yet. I don't know how that works.
I would recommend maybe doing your ride along podcast on an easier horse. For those of you who don't know, Herman has a new horse. She's 5.
5 this year. She's
And
2020.
she's gigantic. She's like 17.3. But it's when so I've recorded all these ride along podcasts and they're very popular. People love them, but it's quite hard to ride and like talk through everything that you're doing.
Sometimes when you have to lock onto the concentration of doing something, the speech ends.
And it's also
silence.
I'll give you my ride along podcast tips here. So when I record my ride along podcast, I try to have like a theme. So I'll say like, okay, in this ride along podcast, we're going to be focusing on suppleness, or we're going to be focusing on rider position. And then I give like a general overview, like, okay, we're going to first do the warm up of 20-meter circles. Then we're going to do this exercise. Then we're going to do this exercise. I try not to say left and right. I try to just say like inside and outside. So that way, if
whatever direction they're going.
Yeah. It's not such a big deal. And then I always tell, like, when you're listening to one of the ride along podcasts, to make corrections as needed, because of course, like, we can't see you. We can't like tell you exactly what you need to do. But I always, Mercurio, the gray PRE, he's like the easiest horse to do the ride along podcast because he's like very smooth and he's a good boy. Because I can imagine if you tried to do one on your horse right now, you'd probably be like hyperventilating,
talking really fast. I mean, we're not steering is the problem.
Yes. So let us know if you've
look at all these people.
If you have
New Mexico,
listen to the ride along podcast, if you enjoy the ride along podcast, maybe what we should do tomorrow is we should film while I teach you on her. That might be a better starting place.
Right, we had talked about that too. But all of these people, Kentucky, Tampa Bay, New Mexico.
Yes. Let us know where you're here from. Herman's very impressed.
I am.
We have people all over the world.
All over the place.
So I was doing office hours this morning for Strides. We had like 2 hours of office hours. Biggest things that I saw in my students' rider positions this morning, I'm looking for my notes, were heels down. That's a big thing.
My heels are down pretty good.
A lot of us struggle with contracting our legs, nagging our horse with our legs. So definitely heels down. Second thing was keeping your shoulders back. Did you see that skeleton that
I put it together. What do you mean did I see it? I took it out of the box and put it together.
Just for everyone's entertainment, I got a life-size skeleton off of Amazon for some like ads that I was making, and I curled the skeleton up into fetal position and I stuck it on top of Natasha, who is a saint, and then we practiced having the skeleton fall off. So don't lean forward and curl up into fetal position because it makes you very off balance.
Look, New Hampshire, Arizona, Chicago, Wisconsin.
You're so impressed by this.
British Columbia.
Okay, moving on. We have questions about rider position.
Did you post the skeleton dying off the horse head first?
Not yet.
Oh,
not yet. It's coming. The dying skeleton is coming.
And is that going to be just on the
it's going to be
somewhere?
It's going to be a reel coming out that's getting people to sign up for a rider position webinar. So sign up for the rider position webinar. Okay, Hannah's question: how can I keep my seat connected and not bouncing when my horse gives a massive extended trot? I try to stay with it, but then struggle a lot staying connected in the down transitions.
Can you read the part? So
extended trot. How do you stay connected in this extended trot?
Oh, I think a little bit of collection so that the balance stays and I don't get thrown forward because there's still collection in that extended trot. And then just, you got to keep your back supple and your legs on. I think feet into the armpits.
Yeah,
so helps. It helps stabilize me.
And sometimes you have to come just a hair forward with your shoulders, like just a little bit forward with your shoulders for the extended trot. And then I would recommend when you're schooling it do like shorter bits of it so that you don't start bouncing.
Oh yeah, like half diagonal or something.
Yeah.
Or just start it late even.
Because once you start bouncing, then your horse is going to hollow and it's going to be uncomfortable for both of you. So just go a little bit, come back a little bit, go a little bit, come back a little bit, and then work on your core strength. Like your core and your glutes need to be really strong to go with that bigger trot. So that's my recommendation. Okay. D says, I don't have a question, but can you tell Herman his advice on pointing your sternum to where you want to go has made all the difference in my riding. If I catch my horse getting a bit crooked, I just point my sternum where I want to go, and there's immediate improvement. P.S. It also makes me sit up straighter.
Yay. I'm gonna now
Perhaps that's what you need to do.
All right, now I'm just gonna say, now that I found that it works for you, now I'll try it.
Since you can't steer your horse, perhaps you should practice turning your sternum.
But I was doing that and trying to make the diamond, right, and go straight at it and turn. And Nicole was like, "Look at me," when she was like behind the horse. So I'm like having to turn all the way around to get the horse to come around.
And did it work better?
It was just different. I mean, there was more of a bend and a curve, but I couldn't do what I like to do, which is straight turn. There was like so we're in
She's
process.
a big girl. She's kind of like
she looks it's like a battleship. It's like turning a battleship.
So that might take a little bit of adjusting there.
So we'll learn. She and I will both learn.
Question from Emma. I tend to round my shoulders forward when I ride, but when I try to focus on keeping them back and sitting up tall, I end up in an anterior pelvic tilt. Why is this happening? What can I do to fix it?
That's a big word, anterior pelvic tilt.
It's where you like overarch your back and stick your butt out behind you. So like how when someone tells you to sit up straight and you like overarch your back and just like stick your belly out, and then it's not good because you're all stiff like that too. So how do you sit up without stiffening, without overarching your back?
Oh, well, because I just always think shoulder blades pinch my spine to open my chest, but it sounds like that's what she's doing and making it worse. So I would maybe suggest circles with the shoulders to get the tension out.
Yeah, probably you're a little tight in your shoulders. Stretching like out of the saddle will also help.
Yeah, but I think that my sense of it is that she's trying to make that position so there's a stiffness and there's a hardness to it. It isn't like in that position soft. So I would think, so you're going to do that and then make some circles with your shoulders to soften that whole look.
That's a good idea. And then also remember to keep your abs engaged, like keep your lower abs engaged so that you don't just like stick your belly out and overarch your pelvis. Okay, I struggle with my toes pointing out. When I try to rotate my leg from the hip in, it's really uncomfortable for my ankles. Can't evenly distribute because they're too tight. Are there any exercises or stretch to help with toes out?
That one, yes. That's all stretching.
They're all in my rider position course.
That's all stretching. That is all stretching, and stretching not only in the saddle, but from the ground.
And I think also if your toes turn out when you are riding, more than likely your toes also turn out when you're walking or like all the time in life. So try to walk with your feet straight, or even like walk with your toes turning in. That's one thing I used to walk really
duck foot.
Yeah, duck foot. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to try and teach myself to walk straighter. And then that helped with my rider position. But definitely stretching your hips in particular is going to help with that. If you can't turn your knees and your toes in, that will help. I
have that because I have friends that are horseshoers. They looked at my right foot and they said, "You're collapsed medially," and so my whole right leg falls on the inside, and so I've really got to make an effort on the ground without on my boots to walk with my foot straight and on the blade of my foot, because I drop to the inside. So we've all got things, and that's something I work on outside of the saddle.
Yes, it's so important, and that's a big part of my rider position webinar this week, which is about figuring out, identifying what you need to fix in your position, but then also figuring out, since we only have so much time in the saddle, we can't ride our one horse 10 times per day, right? That's Herman saying.
And I'd love to do that with my mare and hurry this thing along. And even giving her a day off after 3 days, I was like, I should ride her, but she needs a day off.
Yes. So what can you do out of the saddle to still like work on your position and to still fix those things? And so much of it is just awareness of the patterns and the habits that you have, like the way that you sit in your chair, the way that you sleep, the way that you drive, all of that, those habitual things that you do in your life that may cause asymmetries in your body, that's going to affect your riding. Okay, question from Anya. How can I keep my position better when going from the canter to the walk? My horse tends to almost stop quickly and my butt lifts out of the saddle, which disrupts the flow. It's a tough one. Advice for Anya.
On a 20-meter circle, forward and back. And then when you make the canter to walk transition, a circle, a descending circle, like from the 20, 10, 6 to walk. So that the horse is more engaged and stepping down forward to the walk. And that way you don't get the abruptness, because it just sounds like the horse is on the forehand. And so the horse is coming to an abrupt stop. And then Newton's law, an object in motion tends to stay in motion. So you're still doing canter speed and the horse isn't. And so because you're not connected through your seat and the horse isn't collected into that walk, you're getting pitched forward. So it's about trying to get the horse to load more the hind leg. And that's just one exercise for that. The other one you can do is like on the rail, and at R and S, you make a 10-meter circle. And then when you're facing the wall, you can use the wall to help that half halt and make the transition to walk right there. I like the circle.
Yeah, but also you have to think about, if you're going to do canter walk, you have to really sit back with your shoulders before you do it, because the downward transition is always going to pitch you forward. So you need to sit extra back and really keep your core tight. Like I think of when I do a canter walk, like I really like crunch my core and kind of wrap my legs around the horse in that downward transition. And
right, stabilize your core so that when the speed diminishes, that you don't get pitched forward because your body's still at that speed.
Okay. Question from Tammy. How do I get my leg to move back into alignment and stay there?
That second part's the hard part, isn't it? God, I read that commercial. I went on it earlier, and I was giggling on the inside.
If we knew,
right? If we knew, I would do it. It's constant repetition and focus, right? And that's why it's just lovely to have somebody on the ground going, "Hey, you're doing this. Hey, you're doing this," and because we're busy, we're riding, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know where our legs are. If they were in the right place, then we wouldn't worry. But you're thinking about a canter depart, a leg yield, whatever, and then your body just kind of goes places. Yeah. And so it's just, when you remember, move them.
But that's also why working on your position is a lifelong journey, and you're never just done with it, because every time that you do something hard again, those bad habits creep back in.
And the horses, they want you to be someplace too. The horses, they're kind of big and strong, and they're like, it'd be a whole lot easier if I just twisted my back, put you to the outside, and then I could load that leg and not the other one. So
but I mean, it's a process. I think we're all working on our rider position, and it made me kind of sad, because I like, once people sign up for the webinar, then I invite them to post a picture of themselves in the Facebook group and use hashtag rider position. Like, what are you working on in your position? So we've seen a lot of you like posting pictures, like, I'm working on this, I'm working on that, like all the things you're working on. And then a few people in the comments have been not so nice, which I just, it makes me so sad, because, I think none of our positions are perfect. Like, I'm the first to admit that. I certainly have faults, and there's some pictures that I see of myself riding and I'm just like, why is my leg there? Like, why am I looking down? Like, what in the world am I doing? So I just want to normalize that we all are working on it. We're all getting better, and don't be so hard on yourself if you aren't happy with your position, because
we're not happy.
But also, there's that Theodore Roosevelt poem about the man in the ring. And it's like, the man in the ring, the one who's out there, like all of you that are out there that you're
We're
trying.
doing it.
And it's like, your face is covered in dust and sweat and tears and blood. You can't ever be critical of that because you're out there and you're trying and you're doing it. And that's really all that matters, is like the process and the journey and working at it. So yes, The Man in the Ring. That's one of my favorite poems.
Yeah, you mentioned it a lot. So Tammy, yeah, the easy part is putting it into the position.
You have to repeat the question.
Oh. So Tammy asked, how do I get my leg to move back into alignment and stay there? So it's the stay there that's the problem, because once you're aware that it's moved again, right? You just tell your leg, move, and then it moves. And then when you think about something else, it goes away. And I remember way back when, I would just go along when everything felt okay, like I've got a steady rhythm, right? I got some contact and I'm steering. And then I start, where are my feet? Where are my knees? Where are my thighs? Where are my hips? Where's my back? Where's my head? Where's my arms? And by the time I get there, my feet are wrong again. And so I start again. Where's my feet? And I just go from the bottom up.
Yeah. Yep. And the other thing you can do is you can pick like a place in your arena to check in with your position. And I do think that the times it's really good to focus on your position is when things are easier. So for example, in the warm up or in the walk, that's always a good time to check in with your position. And then lessons are really helpful. Video is really helpful. And that's kind of all stuff that we help our students with in the courses, is like encouraging that and then figuring out how to really break those habits.
Friends are helpful. You don't even have to have a fantastic riding spouse. You could just have anybody go, hey, you don't look straight. I mean, my brother doesn't know anything about horses, and he knows if you're looking pretty schleprock in the saddle. So
does he?
Yeah, he does.
Oh, okay. All right. Question: how to work on my heels? Heels down, poor leg aids. How can I improve and help myself with good, consistent leg aids?
I think a little bit no spur, and then the other thing, it sounds like you're just too tight.
No spur, no stirrup.
No stirrup. Sorry, thank you. Yeah, so no stirrup, and it just if you can't flex your ankles, if you can't move your leg, they're clamped on. So back to the rider position, right? An independent seat, so that your balance is keeping you in the saddle and not death grip 2000.
Yeah. Another good one. I like the taking your stirrups away. You can also do a little 2-point. That will help you to get your heels down.
Oh, and what I do for many people and myself too for the stretching is, without the stirrups, I make circles with my big toes. But the circle goes in towards the horse, then down, then out, then up, then in, then down.
A good point.
Don't make circles outwards. Don't make,
then your toes will turn out.
Don't make circles outward, because then you're stretching your foot the wrong way. But if your heels are tight, tip. So your foot's there and you go toe in towards the horse, down to the ground, out, up, in, down, out, up, in. There. That's what you do with your big toe.
Got it. Okay, Debbie, I struggle with finding balance in the saddle, which has affected my leg position. How can I find balance and keep my position? Oh my gosh, if only we knew. How can we find our balance in the saddle and keep our position? That's Debbie's question. That's the golden question. Come to my webinar. Yeah, I will reveal the secrets.
That one's time and miles, really.
Yeah.
That's where you got to ride.
But seriously, come to my webinar, because I have a little rider position framework that will help with this. And it does.
Somebody liked my death grip 2000.
That's Stacy. Remember,
yes, I know. I'm going to go
be the judge
there.
Yes. So, okay. I think there's one more question. How do I work on keeping my elbows in the correct position? They always creep too far forward.
Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Thumbs up.
Her elbows go too far forward. How do we help her keep her elbows in the correct? If they're going, maybe your reins are too short.
Could be, but thumbs up and put your elbows. Feel your shirt with your elbow.
Stick your chest forward. That could help.
Yes.
Okay, I think there was one more question which I've missed. No, did we do all them? Oh, Teresa, when I'm turning my sternum towards the direction I want to go, do I turn at the waist or at the hips?
I
think it's like at your waist. You can't really turn. Aren't they the same? Are your hips and the waist the same?
Your waist is here and your hips are this, right? I don't know. I'm a boy. I don't need to know the difference between waist and hips. But
it's a detail. But
you will, as you rotate.
So your sternum turns your hips.
Right, but your inside hip, you don't really want it going back when you're turning.
A little bit.
A little.
But not a lot.
Right. So does that help?
I don't think you turn your hips.
You don't, because it's like a T.
Like a
here's
tripod.
Your collarbone,
like a tripod.
And your spine, and your spine will rotate, but you don't really have to turn your hip.
Yeah.
Right.
Your sternum turns, but
your spine rotates on top of your hip.
Yeah. Exactly what he said.
Yeah.
Just like that. Your shoulders turn with your horse's shoulders, and your hips stay with your horse's hips.
Right, and it's just not that much flexibility with their hips. So
and usually when you turn your sternum, it puts just slightly more weight on your inside seat bone, and that's plenty.
Right. You don't really want to exaggerate that,
because if you start twisting and turning your hips, then you're not going to be following the motion of your horse, and that's like the most important thing, is to follow the motion of your horse. So that's actually a good question, Teresa. I'm glad that we had a little hash out. She's giving us 2 thumbs up. Awesome.
All right, so that was useful then, what we said, as we were figuring it out.
Yes. Alrighty. Well, we hope to all see you at the live rider position webinar coming up next week, and hopefully you're having a wonderful weekend. We will be working on some videos of some new horses that we have in the box.
Yeah, so her elbows lock. Stephanie's her elbows lock. So elbow at your shirt. Always just kind of trying to think. You feel your shirt with your elbow.
We had one time, I mean, I do think that always when you're trying to fix your rider position issues, if you can be creative, we had one student that was always locking out her arms, and our physical therapist came and she put KT tape on her elbows so that like when she would go to straighten her elbows, it would just
pull the hair.
So you could try that, although I'm not sure if I
was a youth,
fully recommend. Put the whip behind your back. But that's like stiffens you too much, I feel like. Then aren't you just like rigid like that?
I think the Germans just like to torture. Because
and
you
that's
had
also
that
so dangerous. Isn't
I
it?
know. So we'd have the whip and the crook of our elbows, but there's some flexibility in the whips too. It wasn't like a stick; it was a whip, so it would bend a little bit. But yeah, you'd just be like Achtung baby there with the whip there. Yeah, it was a different time.
I had one client that put a like big rubber band, like she had like, I don't know what they were for, these giant rubber bands, and she put them around her like whole torso to keep her elbows by her side. So you could try that also.
Maybe the direct connect people.
The correct connect.
Correct
correct connect. I hope you should get their gloves, but I do have a little partnership going with Correct Connect, and they have this position reminder, which it like goes around your arms and then it goes behind your back and it makes you sit up tall. And that actually does help you to keep your elbows bent.
It's actually the whip idea, only in a very sophisticated way, just like their
it's flexible, which is nice because it's not like rigid. And they also have a neck strap.
The safety neck strap. Which, I mean, that thing's brilliant. I used to make them with, horses baling string and a stirrup leather. And I saw that thing and I was like, I should have made this and sold it. That thing is great.
Yes. So check out Correct Connect. They also have awesome gloves, really cool reins, great company, good products. And invite your friends to come to the rider position webinar. That always helps me out. We will see you all next Thursday is going to be a webinar. Maybe you'll do it with me.
The webinar or this?
The webinar.
So is Nicole going to do this?
No, it's on. It's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be right here.
Oh, okay. This is good. Oh, so next week this is going to be a webinar. Gotcha.
Alrighty, everyone. Good